Round 3 of the Power V8 Cup Series brings us to Macon, Georgia for the Coca-Cola Shootout at Middle, Georgia. Today we head to this very famous short track here. We had 47 entries come into this weekend. A standard qualifying would bring us down to the top 42 cars that'll be battling it out for 125 laps in today's event. We have a lot of headlines and developing stories, so let's jump straight into the latest news. Starting off with the top developments, last week's race, the Victory Lane Collectables 400 saw a vicious incident with Roger James in the number 93 car getting hit by both Priya McShane and the 43 of Carl Unteswefer as he was viciously launched into the catch fence. It has been announced that James is okay, but unfortunately will miss out on the next 6 races as he is suffering from a minor concussion, broken right collarbone, neck and wrist bruising, as well as a few other minor injuries that will cause Roger James to unfortunately miss out. Filling in for him is Justin Henley, short track specialist, who is showing to be a great pick as he was able to land the number 93 Ford on the pole for today's race. So Justin Henley going to be one to look out for, filling in for Roger James for the next 6 races. Take a look at the point standings and how they are shaping up coming into this event. Ethan Hayden, the Royalty Grafix 500 winner, is still the points leader with 40 points, but Christian Russell's consistency has kept him right on his tail, just behind with 37 points. Last week's winner is tied with Abel DeGroat in 3rd place with 32 points. James Fletcher and Abel DeGroat both taking up that 3rd and 4th spot, with Roberto Crown Jr. in his dominant performance last week, landing him the 5th place in points. Ruben Gonzalez still holds on to the 6th position, while Owen Scott has been able to improve upon his points position in 7th. Aiden Smith had a very good debut race, and for that he'll be in the 8th place in points. While behind him is Boston Jones in 9th, and Ben Crouch rounding out the top 10 in points with 20 points to his name. Just behind him is Jeff Bolton and David Dixon, both tied with 18 points. Then Leland Hill and Nick Kennedy, both tied with 14 points. And part-timer Ricky Freeman Jr., the last of the top 15, those that are locked into each and every single race. Behind them, Nelson Reeves is just behind Ricky Freeman with 8 points. Then it's Ronnie Martin and Josh Moore with 6, followed by Zachary DeLello with 5, and John McFadden scoring 3 points in his debut race last week. Then Cam Wright Sr. and Xander Howell both have 2 points, and Solomon Sheridan and Alrighty Alejo round out the point standings with 1 point each. Let's go ahead and take a look at how the field will line up for today's event. As we said, 47 cars entered into this race, so a standard qualifying session would be how the field would be determined. As mentioned, Justin Henley will be starting on the pole, filling in for Roger James in his absence and with his injury. And to his outside, Zachary DeLello landing on the 2nd position with a great qualifying run. In 3rd is Adam Wilson, who has wrecked out in both races, or has had wrecks in both races so far, but lands himself a good qualifying position. And David Dixon once again qualifying in the top 2 rows for the 3rd race in a row. Then behind him is his SCR teammate Myron Felder in 5th, and Jeff Bolton outside in the 6th position. Row 4 sees Josh Moore and Ronnie Martin to his outside. Then in row 5 we have Brett Bishop and Alrighty Alejo rounding out the top 10. Followed by them is Felix Rizzo and Miles Mashburn in row 6. Then Nick Kennedy and Chris Parker making their Owen Scott Racing debut, starting off in the top 15. That's a good way to start off your first race. Then following them is Ethan Hayden in the number 19 and John McFadden to his outside, running for Ronnie Racing for the next 10 races. Then we have John Ritson in the 17, starting in P17, and to his outside, Tari Lowell making his debut start after missing out on last week's race. Then rounding out the top 20 with Ben Crouch on the inside and JQ Halak in the outside. Then we'll have Nathan Orman and Owen Scott in row 11. Row 12 we'll see Ruben Gonzalez and Carson Jefferson. Then we have Blake Parker and Aiden Smith in row 13. Row 14 we'll see Christian Vargas and Carl Unteswefer in his 43 Dodge. Then Abel DeGroat racing for Vortex Racing this week, and Cam Wright Sr. to his outside. Abel DeGroat just announced that he has found rides for the full season. He will be able to compete for every single race this year, albeit in a numerous amount of different rides. Then we'll see Bradley Reen and Roberto Crown Jr. starting in the 16th row. Row 17, we'll see Arvin Basic and Solomon Sheridan, followed by Devon Fair filling in for Dylan Hayden, and Boston Jones in his Maximum Motorsports Toyota. Then we'll see Christian Russell and Landon Launenbach. Then Leland Hill and Adrian Rojas will round out the 20th row. Then finally, we see two drivers who had to use their top 15 in points and able to qualify for this race. Ricky Freeman Jr. and last week's winner James Fletcher is going to round out the final row, as they did not have very good qualifying runs. Missing out on the show would be 3 of the 4 Fitzwater Australia Racing Dodges. They did not hit it right on the setup. Cody Goforth will miss the race for the second race in a row. Nelson Reeves will also miss out, and Zachary Fitzwater Sr. himself all missing out on the main event for today's race. Ruben Gonzalez, the only one who was able to qualify, and he's locked in the top 15 in points, the only one on that team that is locked in. Also failing in the race is Riley Hill, the Victory Lane Collectables Dual 1 winner, and Priya McShane, unfortunately missing the show. She will not be pleased about that. Should be an interesting event though going into it, and that is the 42 that will make up the Coca-Cola Shootout. And now let's go trackside for the command for the Coca-Cola Shootout at Middle Georgia.
Drivers, start your engines!
Alright, the field is set. 42 engines are alive and away. Let's take a look at the track analysis real quick, as we're going to have a very fast pace lap here. There's pretty much going to be virtually no pit window, as with it being a shootout style event, the fuel and the tire wears should be able to last the entirety of the event, so as long as you don't get any damage, you shouldn't need to pit. It's a very cool and calm day here in Macon, Georgia. 63 degrees with the wind coming in from the south direction, only at 1 mile per hour, so the weather should not be a factor in today's race. We're going to see now a hopefully a very exciting event. 125 laps. We got Justin Henley and Zachary DeLello ready to lead us down, as the green flag is out here in Middle Georgia. Zachary DeLello is going to get washed up high up at the start. He's going to try to fight for his position. A little bit of 3-wide racing going on in the back here. See Ethan Hayden squashed up in the middle. He's got John Ritson and his Mercedes teammates all trying to push it 3-wide. His caution is already out. Wreck in the back. We'll have to see the race back to the line. Justin Henley is going to lead them back. Let's go see what happened here. Ooh, bad wreck for 2 of the JCM cars. Let's get a replay here. Take a look here, as it seems to be a little 3-wide action in the back. Christian Russell forces Devon Fair in the middle. Cam Wright Sr. gets squashed up into the wall. And oh, that's going to spin out Devon Fair into 2 more of the JCM cars. Oh! Cam Wright Sr. not going to be happy about that. Now that we have a clear view of our culprits, Russell forces Devon Fair 3-wide. And that just causes Fair to get up into Cam Wright Sr. And everyone in the back is just along for the ride. Very interesting to me about this is 3 of the 4 JC Motorsports cars were involved in this. Solomon Sheridan, Cam Wright, and James Fletcher all involved, along with a numerous amount of others. Gonna go on board with Ricky Freeman Jr. He gets a pretty good view of them going 3-wide. Then gets pinched up by Russell as he washes up high and almost gets taken out by Adrian Rojas. Go on board with James Fletcher, who isn't as lucky. Oh. Turns out some more carnage happened at the end of this lap. Another incident just coming to the line between Chris Parker and Nathan Orman. Parker and Orman get loose and both get hooked into the inside wall. Orman's going to dive it into the corner, trying to get to good position to the race back to the line. And Parker's just going to get loose, and they're just going to hook. Hard hit into the inside wall, but I think the both of them should be okay to continue. We'll take one more look here as Christian Russell causes a big accident on lap 3. Many cars involved that were just unfortunately along for the ride. We'll be right back after this. Alright, welcome back everybody here to the Coca-Cola Shootout at Middle Georgia. We're under caution here, but we're set to get back racing. Take a look at all those involved in the lap 3 incidents, including the 10 of Solomon Sheridan, the 25 of James Fletcher, 33 of Chris Parker, 39 of Christian Russell, Dylan Hayden also involved in that, Adrian Rojas, Cam Wright Sr., and Nathan Orman all involved, with James Fletcher and Solomon Sheridan unfortunately going to be out of this race. Cam Wright Sr. and Adrian Rojas will continue, but they're going to be a couple laps down. Justin Henley is going to lead us to the green here on the restart. So we're going to get set back racing here. As here we go. Flagman waves the green flag, and we are back racing. Henley will make easy work of the lap traffic. Rojas is going to fight on the inside. Both Cam Wright Sr. and Adrian Rojas trying to fight for their laps. I believe they're both about 2 laps down. Zachary DeLello has to try to battle through the traffic. That's going to allow Myron Felder to move him up. He's going to get right under his quarter panel, nudge him up the track, but not going to have enough momentum to get to the inside. Nope, DeLello is going to be able to hold him clear. The lap traffic really holding up this pack is Justin Henley now able to just run away from this pack. Felder looking to the inside of DeLello. He's going to be able to get there, but he's still got the lap cars of Rojas and Cam Wright Sr. He's going to take him 3 wide into the corner. Felder with a bold move, trying to get around the lap traffic as quick as he can. And he is through. Myron Felder to the lead. Or to second, excuse me. What am I saying? Justin Henley, that's how much of a gap he's been able to pull, but Zachary DeLello able to get back under him for that second spot. Josh Moore might be able to even get there as well, but Myron Felder just going to be able to close the door on the 3. Wasn't able to do so on the 77. He was able to get his spot back. Josh Moore, though, very good short track racer to his credit. He's going to try to do what he can to get to the underneath of the 46. Here comes Nick Kennedy now getting through some of the lap traffic. He was able to get around the 00 of Adam Wilson. But Justin Henley in his debut race doing a great job. He's got a very big gap, a little over a second on the 77 and the 44. And it looks like they're going to single file out and try to reel in the leader. Take a look at some of the cars in the back here. Oh, Ricky Freeman Jr. also found some damage on his car. That wasn't seen. He actually wasn't so lucky. Something happened to him. Lots of good racing going on in the back right now. Take a look where our top 15 is at specifically. Looks like at the moment it's actually Nathan Orman. Orman somehow in that top 15, even after wrecking through across the line with the 33 of Chris Parker. So even that shunt at the end of the caution on lap 3 isn't the biggest hindrance to the 95 and Nathan Orman. Right now, though, we're starting to see some single file racing to try to chase down the leaders. Myron Felder, Zachary DeLello all trying to save their stuff as Justin Henley just keeps on pulling a bigger and bigger gap as these laps keeps on going by. Proving to be a very good fit for that number 93 Ford for Roger James. John Ritson, though, is looking to do what he can to hold his momentum on that high side of the 72 Miles Mashburn. Like I said, Robbers Racing doing very well today. Seems like their strong suit is on the short tracks. It's John Ritson. It's getting passed by their owner. Jeff Bolton going to the inside as well. Oh, I'm dying over here. Meanwhile, we see the 03 of Ben Crouch also getting to the inside. Mercedes teammate. Not necessarily a team teammate, but still the Good Smile Racing owner versus one of the Mercedes AMG cars that are in their main stable. Battling side by side. That's how much this high line really affects you. It is so hard to hold up your track position. John Ritson having a terrible time as he is just losing spots lap by lap. Look at some more lap traffic here. Adrian Rojas getting passed by Brett Bishop. Josh Moore starting to reel in Myron Felder. He's going to look to his inside, puts the bumper to his quarter panel, tries to move him up the track a little bit, but Felder just able to get the drive off the corner. As looks like Moore's going to do it again. He's trying to nudge Felder up. He really wants to get to that third position. Moore in the number 3 car driving like the Intimidator right now. See, he's really looking to use those short track skills to use. Classic racing. It's either move or be moved. As Myron Felder has just been putting his bumper right in front of Josh Moore's. This might allow Nick Kennedy to get up into the mix as well. Kennedy, after missing out on the Royalty Graphics 500, had a great bounce-back race at Atlanta, started deep in the pack, and made his way up into the top 10. So that was a great bounce-back race for the Jeff Bolin Racing driver. And right now doing a great job running in the top 5. So Nick Kennedy, even though he missed out on the main event big show, the Royalty Graphics 500, he is having a great bounce-back in these past couple of races. So far, though, Zachary DeLello's actually been able to close the gap to Justin Henley. He is right there now, what was about a 1.5 second advantage. Now DeLello is right on the rear of Justin Henley. The 2 part-timers here, DeLello running just as a part-time for 10 races, Henley only running the fill-in races for Roger James at the moment. They are proving to be the cream of the crop right now, as they are out in front. DeLello proved to be very good at the super speedways as well. He had a great showcase in both the duels and the Royalty Graphics 500. But Justin Henley is trying to hold him off right now. DeLello just waiting for the right moment. Might be trying to save up his stuff. Henley might have just been trying to save up his tires as well. That could have been the case too. So right now we're starting to get a pretty good green flag stretch. DeLello doing everything he can to reel in that 93. He's keeping him within distance. Gets a good run off that corner. We might be able to see DeLello make a move here. Gets right up to the rear of the 93. DeLello is hunting. He is just preying on the leader right now, trying to find the right moment, the perfect strike, the right time to attack, and not overwear his equipment while he does so. Remember, it is, for pretty much all the teams, it's going to be no stops. Just make it to the end. With it being a shootout style event, 125 laps here, it's gonna go by quick. We're already pretty much through about 1/5 of the action, and it's gone by like that. So, this, while it seems like a lot of laps, it's a small little bull ring, and it's gonna go by fast. So you got to make sure that your equipment is the best it can possibly be for the end. So you don't want to wear it out too much trying to fight for the lead at the beginning. So far, though, Justin Henley has been in control of this race. Now starting to gap DeLello just a little bit. Almost out to 1/2 second at 77, trying to reel him in. And it looks like the 46 of Myron Felder been able to escape from the 3 of Josh Moore as well. As something that has been expected to see some green flag runs in this race. Sometimes these races can go green for a good bit. Take a look at our top 5 breakdown as they run through. So we see Henley in the first position, obviously, followed by Zachary DeLello in second, 2 part-timers in the first and second positions. Myron Felder currently sits third as the highest full-timer. Behind him, Josh Moore and Nick Kennedy. Then we have the Vortex Racing owner, Brett Bishop in 6th, Adam Wilson in 7th, followed by his team owner Ronnie Martin in 8th, who's facing a little bit of pressure from Miles Mashburn, the Robbers Racing owner. A lot of the team owners in the top 10, because then behind them is Jeff Bolton Racing's owner, Jeff Bolton himself. And we got Ben Crouch in 11th, followed by Dixon and Nathan Orman in the 13th or 12th, or yeah, 13th position right now. He's doing a fantastic job recovering from that wreck. I think he was able to still cross the line in a decent position while he was wrecking. So that's probably what's helping him. But nonetheless, seems like that wreck isn't hurting his car too much, as he's in the points positions. John Ritson has fallen to 14th after being stuck on the high line for a good majority of the beginning segment there. And already Alejo rounds out the final points-paying spot. He's finished 15th once before. Well, he's finished 15th last week, and he's currently running there again, so at least some consistency. Ethan Hayden, the current points leader, sits outside of the points-paying positions. This is good for him because he's going to try to pounce on the fact that Christian Russell is in the back of the field. I think he's like in the bottom. Yeah, he's in 32nd. So Russell is nowhere near the points positions, and he's got damage. So that's definitely not going to help for second place in points, Christian Russell. Right now, though, Josh Moore still trying to attack on Myron Felder. That 3's reeled the number 46 back up into his grips. Within his reach. Going to see him try to dive in. Moore trying to look for as much grip as he possibly can. He's searching up the track. Myron Felder searching too. They're looking for better lines to try to see what will give him the best runoff. Look at the helicopter cam as it follows the track just to see some of the gaps here that is surmounted. Zachary DeLello is way out in front of the 46 as we're actually looking to be starting to catch lap traffic here. Henley and the 77 have caught up to the back of the pack. A lot of these cars with damage, some of them also just off the pace. Devon Fair, you see, trying to battle with Carl Untersweffer. Untersweffer seems to appear to run in with someone during the pit stops, and that looks to be the cause of his damage. Not the best way for the, or best day for the German driver. So hopefully Henley should be able to navigate this traffic with no problems. Otherwise, that's going to allow for someone like DeLello to pounce right up on him. And he's got to watch out because some of these guys still are racing for position. So it's not like they just have to lie down for the leader. But if blue flags do need to be enforced, they will be enforced. See here, Christian Russell might be under threat of going a lap down potentially. Second place in points. He is having a terrible day at Middle Georgia. Like I said, being the main culprit of the first incident on lap 3, which took out 6 cars. And he is struggling. Henley is catching them by the second, and it's also allowing DeLello to catch as well. May even see the 46 and the 3 reel them in potentially, and we'll have ourselves a really good battle for the lead here. Henley, though, looks to the inside. He's actually going to go around the outside of Christian Russell. That might not be the best line considering DeLello is chasing him in. Henley's going to back down from it, but he's leaving himself really vulnerable here as DeLello is just reeling him in second by second. Henley looks to the inside of Aiden Smith. Smith, who did very well in last week's race at Atlanta, going a lap down in this week's race at Middle Georgia. The V8 Cup Series comes at you fast. Justin Henley now, though, navigating his way through some of the lap traffic, getting to the underneath of Carl Untersweffer. And he is clear of him. DeLello trying to follow through. Like I said, field has to be very careful navigating their way through this traffic. Devon Fair and Christian Russell, the next cars on Justin Henley's radar. DeLello and Henley are clear of the 43 and 40. Oh, there's trouble up ahead. Some cars in the wall. John McFadden got up in there. Looks like JQ Halak as well. No caution. Landon Laudenbach now has a severe amount of damage. Not sure what happened there. But that could have been bad because that was right in front of the leaders. I'm sure that's making the 93 and the 77 want to just tiptoe around these guys now. 93 might be looking to the outside potentially to get around the 39. So a lot of these cars are scrambling to get as much track position as they can, trying to do everything in their power to not go a lap down. But Henley and DeLello still trying to navigate their way through this traffic. Henley is just staying put behind the 39 of Christian Russell for right now. So they go 3 wide up ahead. Ruben Gonzalez, Roberto Crown, and Carson Jefferson battling hard for these non-points positions. Just trying to do everything in their power to not go a lap down. In the event of a caution, DeLello now able to get to the underneath of Justin Henley. Henley left the door open, and DeLello is going to take it now. New leader, Zachary DeLello. Justin Henley led the first 50 laps. DeLello wants to lead the next 75. So now right on lap 51, DeLello will take the lead. Henley might have faded out his equipment a little bit trying to get through the lap traffic. He's up on the high line, and here comes Myron Felder now. He might be able to get by the 93. Lots of cars ahead, though. The 77 to DeLello has to be careful. Could be possible, too. Henley is just backing off and telling, all right, DeLello, you want to venture off into that storm? Go right ahead. Myron Felder, though, trying to make his way through. And caution is out. Wreck ahead between Chris Parker and Adrian Rojas. Caution out on lap 53, right in front of the leaders, but they're able to just get it down before they wreck. Let's go ahead and take a look at what happened. Just a pretty simple incident here between the 33 and the 65, as 33 just gets clipped into the 66. Not sure if that was a spotter error or what. Oh, in the 94 of Carson Jefferson. I'll take another look 65 here. There, just a slight bit. Oh, it looks like Rojas actually went for the 33. I'm not sure if that was premeditated or what. We'll have to go on board with him. Take a look at how far Rojas digged for this. He dove into the corner. Goes up high. And he just flat out dumps him. Post-race interviews will for sure be the judge of whether this was accidental or not. The caution in lap 53 because of the 65 and 33 wrecking out. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back, everybody, here to the Coca-Cola Shootout live from Middle Georgia. We are going to get the restart on lap 58 after the 3-car incident involving the 65 of Adrian Rojas, 33 of Chris Parker, and the 94 of Carson Jefferson. They're all still going to continue on their way in the race as far as we know. I think there's some, well, Jefferson's there. Adrian Rojas might actually be out of the race. Nope, he's there in the back. So everyone's still going to continue on as planned. Zachary DeLello was able to nab the lead from Justin Henley, and as a result, he'll be able to control this restart as he'll be on the lead pack. The lap cars on the inside of him, though, are going to fight as hard as they can to try to get their lap back, especially the 43 and the 40. And here we go. Zachary DeLello will lead us down back to the green. Restart on lap 58. DeLello easily clear of the 43. Unterweger holds up that inside line heavily as it is just filled with 3 damaged lap cars in the 40 of Aiden Smith. DeLello is gone. Running away like a deadbeat dad trying to get the milk. I mean, he is nowhere to be found as the 93 of Justin Henley now has to be moved up the track. Here comes the 12 of Brett Bishop trying to use these lap cars as a pick. This is for position. This is for the second position, in fact. Brett Bishop has been pretty quiet but doing pretty well as he is now looking to battle for the second spot. Coming off the corner, he's going to be side by side with the number 93. The 46 is going to look to do the same. This field is driving crazy here on the restart. Lots of great racing all throughout the pack. As we see now the 46 going underneath the 93. Myron Felder going to look for that third position. He's got the advantage, and I think he's going to take it. Yes, he will. Myron Felder up to third. Now Josh Moore facing some pressure from Jeff Bolton. That 34 car running very well today, as he had a very good run in Atlanta. And it seems to be the state of Georgia has been very kind to Jeff Bolton, as he's got 2 back-to-back runs that are going well for him after missing out on Daytona. Brett Bishop, though, about to face some pressure from Myron Felder. Felder gets to the underneath of him. Bishop, trying to face with the lap traffic of Adrian Rojas, left himself susceptible to the 46, and he is going to attack. Justin Henley going to try to take one of his spots back as well. Bishop forced to the high side, and then 46 is going to be clear. Henley is going to try to do the same. Now Henley going to try to get to the underneath of the 46 and Myron Felder. Henley almost tried to get a 2-for-1 deal in one corner. Got a little over-ambitious there, but nonetheless worked out for him for the third spot. Adam Wilson now making his way into the top 5. He's able to get by the 34 of Jeff Bolton. Miles Mashburn following one of his drivers in the 3, Josh Moore, forcing his way underneath the 34 of Jeff Bolton. Great racing here on the restart as Brett Bishop right on the rear of the 93 of Justin Henley. He's trying to go for a position. Zachary DeLello has checked out from the lead lap cars, but some of the lap cars are actually trying to keep him in check. Henley trying to make clear of the 65 of Rojas. Trying to navigate the lap traffic as carefully as he can. Brett Bishop trying to get around the 93 and the 65. He's going to try to look to the underneath. He's just going to stick in line with Justin Henley. Throughout the field we go. Now here comes Josh Moore going for that 5th spot underneath the 00 of Adam Wilson. Wilson just announced a new sponsor long ago with his other 2 sponsors. Rothman's having to drop 5 of their races for a new sponsor. Josh Moore, though, comes in and is going to steal the 5th position from Adam Wilson. Jeff Bolton going to look to demote him down to 7th. Also throughout the pack, here comes Ethan Hayden in the Mercedes. They're starting to emerge their way into the top 15 positions. 3 of their 4 cars in the top 15. And actually, Arvin Basic might be there as well. He's just on the outside 18th. Look at the 45, forcing it 3 wide. A little bit of contact between him and Nathan Orman, but they keep it straight. Still 3 wide they go. Miles Mashburn forced all the way on the high side. That is not where you want to be. David Dixon forcing them tight. The dirt specialist from New Zealand able to make that line work. 2 moves in 1. Look at David Dixon go in the 45. What a move. So we stay green. Justin Henley trying to... He actually took that 2nd spot back from Myron Felder as all that was going on, amazingly enough. But Felder now going to look to try to fight back. This has just allowed Zachary DeLello to check out. The Parker Enterprises car running as strong as it possibly can, as DeLello is now 4 seconds in front of Justin Henley. These guys are going to need a caution soon if they want any shot at trying to get back up to the leaders. Felix Rizzo stuck on that high side. That's a guy that we saw up in the top 15 and 20. He's fallen all the way back. And that just goes to show how terrible the high line can be for you, how detrimental it can be if you get stuck out on that high side. As here comes Nick Kennedy now forcing the issue on his owner. I'm not sure if Jeff Bolton's going to like that. Nick Kennedy sticking the nose right down under him. Bolton able to get the run off the corner, but he definitely had his own driver to let him know he was there. As a Mercedes train is ensuing. The pack is just following Ben Crouch as he leads them up throughout the field. More and more positions they claim. Look at this. Usually you see this kind of teamwork on the super speedways, but the 19 and 17 are just following the 03s. Now he's actually getting up to the 68. He might actually try for the position. Adam Wilson got back on the 34 of Jeff Bolton and was able to get back by him. Justin Henley now sets his sight on that 77. Both of these guys have something to prove, as both of their rides are not guaranteed for the full season. Henley only sticking into the Elite Forces racing car because Roger James suffered that vicious crash at Atlanta last week. And Zachary DeLello, only on a part-time schedule, he'll need to find another ride if he wants to be able to continue his championship efforts. And I hope he does. If he manages to win this race and he doesn't find a ride if he can't find 2 more rides for the rest of the season, that would be a shame. That would be a true shame, as DeLello is really showcasing his talents up front. He didn't have the best of races at Atlanta last week. Ran a pretty good Daytona though. And he is absolutely killing it at Middle Georgia, as he is steer clear of the lap traffic, out in front by miles ahead of Justin Henley. But Henley, don't get it twisted, is starting to chip into that gap. What was once a 4-second gap is now a 3-second gap. So if Henley could get by the 43 of Untesweffer and the 40 of Smith, he might have a shot at chasing down to 77. It's going to be difficult, but the 93 is slowly but surely chipping into that lead, lap by lap. He's getting held up by the 43 here, though. He's got to get around Untesweffer, and he's got to get around him fast if he wants to be able to chase down that 77. Meanwhile, back here for 5th, we see Brett Bishop. Or actually, this is for 4th. Josh Moore getting by the 12 of Brett Bishop. Bishop also getting passed by the lap car of Cam Wright Sr., who, without the hood and front bumper, looks like he's racing a modified more than a V8 Cup car. But nonetheless, Sr., who is many laps down, trying to fight his way back. It has been a terrible day for JC Motorsports. 3 of their 4 cars involved in that lap 3 accident, and I believe for 2 of them, it was fatal. So that would end their days. And for JCM, it is not looking good, as only 1 car is carrying the torch for them, and that's already Alejo back in 23rd. So it's quite possibly looking like JC Motorsports is not going to come home with any points today. Meanwhile, we're starting to see Zachary DeLello reel in this lap traffic here. It's possible we could see another caution here still, break it up, or some lappers cause some mayhem and chaos for our leaders, as Zachary DeLello is just looking to continue to improve that gap. Henley was finally able to get around the 43. He's got to try to get around the 40 now and reduce some of that damage that was caused by Untesweffer trying to fight his hardest to stay on the lead lap. Felder also trying to stay in touch of the 93 just in case he catches up to the leader. It'd be more interesting to make it a 3-car battle for the win, but Myron Felder has been doing a fantastic job here at Middle Georgia today. A lot of other teams that seem to have been struggling a bit in the past weeks are doing fantastic in this race. Vortex Racing's Brett Bishop doing great in the top 5. And Robbers Racing, both Miles Mashburn, Josh Moore, they have been very strong running in the top 10-15. But Mashburn did get caught up in a 3-wide mishap that forced him all the way on the high side, as we see David Dixon make the move on John Ritson. Look throughout the field here, we see some battles going on. Roberto Crown Jr. looks to the inside of Boston Jones. This appears to be for around just outside of the top paying point spot. Blake Parker holds the final points paying position. He missed out on last week's show, so that would be good to see Blake Parker score his first set of points this year. He was wrecked out at Daytona and missed last week's race at Atlanta, so he hasn't been able to score points yet. He's looking to try to get some more in the 94 Carson Jefferson. Owen Scott just outside the point spots. His team owner Ronnie Martin just inside of them, battling it out with Nathan Orman. The 19 to Ethan Hayden as well, looking to grab a couple of points. He's in the 12th position, doing everything he can to improve his gap, considering Christian Russell doesn't look like he's going to be scoring any points in today's event, considering he is among of the drivers here in the back just fighting to maintain any bit of track position that they have. It's not been a great day. Middle Georgia has not been kind to Fitzwater Australia Racing as a whole. You see the 26 of Ruben Gonzalez racing very far in the back. He only started 23rd, and he is the only one on his team. And mind you, Fitzwater Australia is a 4-car team. He was the only one who actually made it into his race. The rest of his team did not qualify. And as a result, it's just been a horrible day for the 4-car Dodge team, as DeLello is looking to reel them in, and possibly they could be going a lap down. The team would have a lot of work to do at the shop back home, but they would be gifted a little bit of time, as after this race, we're going to be going on a 1-week break to allow the teams to head up to the West Coast and get them all set for the West Coast swing. Next race at Denver for the B Water 400. Won't want to miss that in 2 weeks' time from this race. Right now, Zachary DeLello leads. He is out in front by a mile. But again, Justin Henley has been closing that gap in, and if DeLello gets caught up on some lap traffic, he might be able to find a way back to this lead lap battle. He's just going to need a little bit of some luck and some circumstances to go his way. Looking throughout the field, we see the 46 in the 3rd position, just behind that 93. Like I said, keeping him in check, trying to make sure that he doesn't get too far out of his grips. The 3 of Josh Moore back here, trying to get behind the 43 of Carl Unterwefer. 5th place is the 12 of Brett Bishop. 6th, we see Adam Wilson running comfortably. Then we got Jeff Bolton in the 34. John Ritson in the 17th was able to get back around the 45 of David Dixon. And it looks like the 68 of Nick Kennedy also applying a little pressure. He is just rounds out the top 10. Ben Crouch sits in 11th, followed by the 95 of Ronnie Martin in 12th. Carson Jefferson sits 13th. He was able to get around Ethan Hayden. Hayden's starting to lose out on some positions, actually. He's going to try to fight to get one back. Looks to the inside of Jefferson, but Jefferson seems to have a better runoff in the corner. Hayden, now your points leader, starting to lose out on some positions. If he manages to fall outside of the top 15, that would not be good for him, as he only holds a 3-point lead over Christian Russell, so he needs to try to build that gap however many points he can. Blake Parker sits the last driver in that points-paying position, but Owen Scott looking to change that, along with Abel de Groot, finished 3rd in the Royalty Graphics 500. He sits 17th, looks to the inside of Owen Scott. Here comes Blake Parker going to the inside of Ethan Hayden. This is for the final point spot. Hayden is really losing out here, and I think he's going to fall outside the top 15 possibly. Owen Scott gets moved up the track by Abel de Groot. De Groot now trying to make his way up through the front and find some points. He's looking to be a championship contender, despite the fact that he is running with multiple teams. Zachary DeLello now finally making his way through lap traffic. He puts Chris Parker a lap down, another lap down, I believe. Nope, that's the first lap down Parker went. Ruben Gonzalez going to go a lap down. Felix Rizzo also facing some pressure from a Chevy teammate. He is, man, DeLello right on the back bumper of Rizzo. He is practically pushing him down the straightaway, trying to get around that 26. Trying to put as much traffic between himself and the 93, because that'll just make it the more difficult for those cars to get through, and the 77. Look ahead of some of the other cars. Trouble! The 28 of Tari Lowell and the 7 of Ricky Freeman Jr. make contact. That is going to bring out the caution on lap 100. Well, goodness. That was unexpected. But nonetheless, caution is out once again. It's not been a very good day to Ricky Freeman Jr. You're going to see the 2 of already Alejo get up to the rear of him and just kind of clip him. Can't get up from underneath him. It just launches him into the 28 at Tari Lowell. Lowell making his debut race. One more look here. It's a pretty minute accident. Some minimal contact, but the 2 just sends the 7 up the track, and the 28's got nowhere to go. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back, everybody, here for the Coca-Cola Shootout live from Middle Georgia. The lap 100 incident has put us under the caution containing the 3 cars of Alrighty Alejo, Ricky Freeman Jr., and the 28 of Tari Lowell. All 3 of them will still be able to continue. It was a very minor accident. So we're about to get restarted here on lap 106. We're going to have 20 laps to go here to battle out and see who's going to win this race. Zachary DeLello will control the field when we get the green. He's going to have Justin Henley, Myron Felder, Josh Moore, and Brett Bishop all trying to get to the back of him, hoping he makes a mistake. Pace car has dived into pit road, and we are about set to get back under green. Flagman waves the green flag, and we are getting restarted here on 106. Some of the lap cars actually get a better launch than Zachary DeLello. Ruben Gonzalez fights for his lap back, so does Chris Parker. This might throw a huge wrench into how this battle for the lead is going to go. 3 wide between the lappers and the leaders. This is going to get sketchy. Contact between Chris Parker and Zachary DeLello being made. They are theoretical teammates as both of them race for Parker Enterprises, but not this race as Parker is on Owen Scott Racing for today. Justin Henley now going to look to the bottom of Zachary DeLello for the lead. Here comes the 93, able to find the gap and make his move. Back to the lead is Justin Henley, but Zachary DeLello going to try to battle it out on the high side. Then 93 gets a good run in the inside, and there he goes off the corner, has the 77 cleared, and your pole sitter is back in first. Got to be careful though. Zachary DeLello now facing pressure from the lap cars. Aiden Smith trying to get to the underneath of him. Myron Felder running 3 wide with some lap traffic. He narrowly avoids that as now DeLello tries to get back under the rear of Justin Henley. The laps now winding down here as we're about to make it to lap 110. With just 16 laps to go. Here comes DeLello though, looking back to the inside of Henley. He's able to get the nose under there. Doesn't get the run off though, but he might be able to use the lap car as a pick. Henley going to try to go around the outside of Chris Parker. Not going to work for him. DeLello able to close the gap. The 77 dives to the inside, and he's going to be able to take the lead from Roger James once more. As we come to just 15 laps to go. Henley now going to try to look back to the outside, swoop his way in. As the field doing everything they can to navigate their way through the lap traffic. Henley looking to follow suit and get by the 33. So is Zachary DeLello. DeLello looking to go around the outside, but that might force him to face some pressure from the 93. Roger James will now look to the inside, Justin Henley, excuse me, looking back to the inside, racing for Roger James, trying to get the win for him. Once more, Justin Henley back in front. These two will not give it up as the caution is out. They race it back to the line, not sure where the wreck happened. But we'll go ahead and get a replay for you. Caution is out on lap 113. 2 incidents to show you as a result of this caution on lap 112. A bad day goes to worse for Christian Russell as he gets clipped by Nathan Orman and Devon Fair and forced into the outside wall. That would bring out the caution. Then, as the cars came across the line and tried to get slowed down, Roberto Crown Jr. just flat out dumps the 54 of Leland Hill. Don't know if that's payback for something earlier in the race, but nonetheless, he just flat out took out the 54. Take another look here as the 39 just gets clipped by the 35, and nothing he can really do, just gets forced into the 48 and goes spinning up the track. Go on board with Nathan Orman here. Get right up to the rear bumper and can't let go of him once he hooks it. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back everybody here to the Coca-Cola Shootout from Middle Georgia. About to get set and restarted here, coming down to the wire, final laps of this race as we are under caution from the incident involving the 39 of Christian Russell, the 48 of Dylan Hayden, the 48 of Devon Fair, and the 95 of Nathan Ormond. And then we also saw the aftermath of that caution. Roberto Crown Jr. ended up dumping the 54 of Leland Hill. Oddly, or funny enough, Leland Hill will start back in front of Roberto Crown Jr., so we'll have to keep an eye on those two to see if Roberto Crown will try to wreck him again. Justin Henley is going to lead this field down. Zachary DeLello right behind him. These two are going to battle it out for the win here. As we get to the green flag, Justin Henley will lead us down for the restart. Green flag is in the air. We're just going to have about 7 laps to go, I believe. As Henley gets clear of DeLello, able to get out in front by a good bit. Justin Henley trying to make the most of his debut start, as now we get 7 to go. DeLello getting gapped by the 93 here, surprisingly. He's able to pull him off by about half a second. DeLello has no lap traffic to face. It's just between him and the 93. It might be that the 93 has a good car at the beginning of the short runs. And this is going to be about as short of a run as it gets. DeLello, though, has a little bit of time coming to 5 to go, but if he wants to be able to make a move on that 93, he's got to get to his rear bumper soon. DeLello, though, starting to reel him in a little bit more, coming to 5 to go now. Justin Henley has to hang on, but it's going to be between the 93 and the 77. The two drivers who dominated and led this race, they're going to be the ones to decide who wins it. 4 laps to go now. This 93 just needs to hang on. The first win in Elite Forces racing history, and Roger James won't even be in attendance to see it. It's a possibility, but Zachary DeLello trying to have other plans for Parker Enterprises. He's looking to secure himself a full-time ride. So is Justin Henley. Both of these guys trying to get races covered for the rest of the season. Is Henley now able to gap DeLello and pull away with just 3 laps to go? Henley putting a tremendous margin on the 77 of Zachary DeLello. DeLello starting to fade. The 43 of Untersweffer might try to get to the underneath of him. The lap car is going to ruin DeLello's chances. 2 more laps to go. DeLello now over a second behind the 93 of Justin Henley. Henley has to make it around this track one more time. Coming to the white flag in his debut start, the short track magician might just be able to make some magic and get his first career win in his first start. He's got to make it through one more corner. DeLello's not going to be able to reach there in time. Justin Henley coming out of turn 4 is going to win the Coca-Cola Shootout at Middle Georgia. Well, that is going to shake up some news. Justin Henley, can you believe it? Your winner here at Middle Georgia. It wouldn't be a V8 Cup Series race without some carnage, though. Tempers would flare coming into the pit entry as many cars would just slam into the back of others. You see Ronnie Martin just gets right into the 08 of Christian Vargas and sends him up. Many cars going airborne and wrecking, absolutely totaling their cars. Just a gigantic junkyard on the backstretches. Many cars coming in with way too much speed in a big gigantic pile. Many of the Ronnie Racing cars. Well, that's going to be a big bill for Ronnie Martin, and I know he doesn't want a foot. Hopefully that Ronnie coin's doing well. Then get a look at Nathan Orman and John Ritson trying to be cheeky and avoid all that on the outside, but Orman just clips the 17 of Ritson and drives him into the pit wall. Could be some payback potentially as well, some tempers flaring. See here, cars just getting woed up for pit road, but a few angry ones in the back had some others to say, caught some innocent bystanders, as Miles Mashburn clips the 00 of Adam Wilson onto Roberto Crown Jr.'s hood. See Ronnie Martin here pissed at the 08 of Christian Vargas, I believe. He just flat out finds him. One more look at all the chaos ensuing as lots and lots of unnecessary damage was inflicted. There's going to be a lot of unhappy team owners going back to the garages and heading back to the shops on Monday. Let's go ahead now and take a look at your finishing results. Justin Henley in his debut race able to take home the win for Roger James in Elite Forces Racing after that vicious crash Roger James suffered. He's able to go ahead and be your winner for today's event. Zachary DeLello just behind him in that second position, another part-timer. Hopefully Henley and DeLello will be able to find themselves some more rides and races throughout the season, as they definitely prove to be capable and worthy, at least on the short tracks for sure. David Dixon would come home an impressive third. He would have a good run for Sinclair Canada Racing, as he seemed to show a lot of speed. Priya McShane would miss the show for that team, but it looks like 2 of their 3 cars would end up making the top 5. So good for Team Honda, as they showed a lot of strength. Nick Kennedy would be sandwiched in between the 45 and 46 of David Dixon and Myron Felder. Jeff Bolton would come home in that 6th position, followed by Josh Moore in 7th, Boston Jones 8th, Ethan Hayden would recover his way into 9th, and already Alejo would find his way into the top 10, albeit causing some chaos and some carnage in today's race. Carson Jefferson makes it 11th, so both Elite Forces racing cars would end up finishing in the top 15. Bradley Green comes home 12th, a good race for him considering he's not had good fortunes at Daytona and Atlanta. Ben Crouch continues his point streak with finishing 13th. John McFadden, second time in a row, will finish in the top 15. Good experience for him. And Brett Bishop will come home with the last remaining points position. Finishing 16th, just outside, would be Adam Wilson in the 00, Roberto Crown Jr. in 17th, John Ritson would finish 18th, Arvin Basic 19th, and Nathan Norman would round out the top 20. Christian Vargas would finish 21st, Tari Lowell 22nd, Miles Mashburn 23rd, Ricky Freeman Jr. 24th, and Christian Russell would round out the top 25. Abel DeGroat finished 26th, followed by Ronnie Martin in 27th. Landon Laudenbach had a quiet but very eventful race in 28th, Blake Parker 29th, and Ruben Gonzalez would round out the top 30. Then we would see the 33 of Chris Parker finishing 31st, Felix Rizzo in 32nd, followed by Owen Scott, Devon Fair, and Leland Hill being the last cars finishing on the lead lap. Those finishing one lap down would include the 43 of Carl Untersweffer, the 40 of Aiden Smith, and the 13 of J.Q. Halak. Adrian Rojas and Cam Wright Sr. would round out the remaining top 40 finishers, both finishing 2 laps down. And finally, Solomon Sheridan and James Fletcher would both finish 41st and 42nd, DNFing out of the race from that lap 3 incident. Let's go ahead and take a look at the top 20 in points following the 3rd race of the season. Ethan Hayden will continue to hang on to his points lead, this time extending it out to 50 points. He'll have a 10-point lead over 2nd place David Dixon. Following him is Justin Henley and Christian Russell in 3rd and 4th place with 37 points apiece. And then it's a 4-way tie behind them with 34 points apiece between Nick Kennedy, Jeff Bolton, Boston Jones, and Myron Felder. Zachary DeLillo and James Fletcher, along with Abel DeGroat, would round out the final positions behind them with 32 points apiece. These are the top 10 championship gauntlet positions that will allow the top 10 in points to battle it out for the championship at the end of the season. Looking at the next batch of the point standings, like we said, Abel DeGroat in the 11th position with 32 points, Roberto Crown Jr. behind him in 12th with 30 points, Ruben Gonzalez in 13th with 27 points, followed by Owen Scott and Aiden Smith rounding out the top 15 in points that are locked into each and every single event. Following them is Ben Crouch in the 16th position with 23 points. Then Josh Moore in 17th with 20 points. Leland Hill in 18th with only 14 points. Ricky Freeman Jr. behind him with 12 points. And Nelson Reeves rounds out the top 20 in our point standings with 8 points. Once again, we'd like to thank you for tuning in to the Coca-Cola Shootout at Middle Georgia. We hope you enjoyed the race as much as we did. Had a lot of fun, action-packed racing, lots of battles, lots of crashes, and all around a good time. Be sure to check us out on our Instagram at PowerOfficialNR for all the latest updates and news regarding the Power V8 Cup Series. And check out our sponsors, Royalty Graphics and Victory Lane Collectables. Royalty Graphics is the official graphics provider of the Power V8 Cup Series, and they provide all the graphics and paint schemes that you see here today. Be sure to check out their Instagram at Royalty Graphics or their Twitter at Graphics Royal. And be sure to check out Victory Lane Collectables, the official custom diecast provider of the Power V8 Cup Series. Their Instagram is victory_lane_collectibles. That's victory_lane_collectibles. Be sure to tune in next week when we go to the high banks of the Denver Motorsports Park for the B Water 400. Should be an exciting event. Hope to see you there, as you won't want to miss the next race.